contract has a total of 40 clauses. So far we have discussed up to clause 33. For the next few videos, we're going to discuss on the clause 34, clause 35, 36 and 37. This includes the mediations, expert determinations, adjudications, arbitrations. These four clauses here is related to the dispute. When there is a disagreement between the employer and the contractor, mostly related to the monetary issues. This could be due to the default of any site or some gray areas happening during the executions of the works. Before we look into the details of these four clauses, probably it is good for us to have some basic understanding of these terminologies. It is related to dispute resolutions. The dispute happens when there are disagreement or argument, and this disagreement and argument cannot be resolved internally between the employer and the contractor, nor with the facilitations of the architect and quantity surveyor. The disagreement still persists. When both sides are standing very firm in terms of their interests, the situation goes nowhere. Therefore, in order to resolve the dispute, an impartial third party may be involved. This third party here should be neutral, professional, and not siding to either side. Now, the process of involving this professional third party in order to facilitate agreement between the two parties here are termed as the mediations, which is in clause 34, expert determinations in clause 35, adjudications in clause 36, and arbitrations in clause 37. There is one more, which is not stated in pen contract, that is litigations. This one is related to the common laws, which is beyond the coverage of pen contract. When you see so many terminology here, it may be quite confusing. So the purpose of these videos, I'm going to give you some brief introductions about these terminologies. First of all, let us settle the simple one. You see the term mediations and arbitrations quite often throughout the pen contract. Both of them are a process of dispute resolution. The ultimate goal is the same, is to find a common ground to the agreement between the contractors and the employer. The mechanism is similar. It involves the third party, which is neutral, to facilitate the process. However, there is still some differences between the two processes. The main difference here it will be the decisions as the outcome of the dispute resolution process here, whether it is binding or non-binding. What does it mean by binding and non-binding? Let us first look at these mediations. It is a non-binding process. It involves a third party here, and this third party is known as the mediator. There will be one mediator here, and the functions of this mediator is to facilitate the discussion between the employer and the contractor so that they can come to an agreement in terms of the final figures, especially related to the monetary issue. After listening from both sides, analyzing the situations, working on basis of the evidence, the mediators come to a decisions to finalize a figure in terms of the payment. Now this decision is non-binding. It means that the decision here is not the ultimate decisions, that no matter what, the contractor or the employer will have to abide with. It is not a legal obligations. for them to abide with the decisions given by the mediator. Now the functions of this mediator is to facilitate the discussions and come up with solutions for the dispute. Now whether both parties willing to apply, it will be up to them. The decisions has no legal binding. In contrary, the arbitrations is a binding process. Whatever decisions made by the arbitrators, whether you like it or dislike it, you will have to abide to it. This arbitrations is not referring to the court case. You can say that it is a simpler version for the full trial process. The function here is to replace the full trial, which is rather time consuming and doesn't worth the efforts. The purpose of having this dispute resolution process being introduced is to filter the cases so that they can resolve the minor cases, which is not necessarily have to go for the full trial process, so that the project can still run smoothly without much disturbance. Now the third party being appointed to facilitate the process will be known as the arbitrator. As compared to mediations, which only have one mediator, when come to the arbitrations, normally there will be more than one arbitrator. Most often, there will be 3 arbitrators. What constitute these 3 arbitrators? You have 2 parties, right? The employer appoint one arbitrator. The contractor side appoint another arbitrator. Now the 2 appointed arbitrator will need to appoint the 3rd arbitrator. In total, there are 3 arbitrators. Having these 3 arbitrators, the final decisions will based on the majority from the 3 arbitrators. Arbitrators, even being appointed by the employer, should be neutral, not actually citing the employer. Same goes to the arbitrators appointed by the contractor. This is their professional ethics, not really citing to the person appointed him. Now the 2 arbitrators will have to appoint another independent arbitrator, not being appointed by the employer, nor it is being appointed by the contractor. Collective decisions will be made after analyzing the situations, looking into the evidence disclosed, and come to a decisions. The arbitrator serves similar as judges in a dispute case. Now in terms of the outcome, the mediator here is to facilitate the discussions, while the arbitrator here is to discuss who is right, who is wrong. In terms of the solutions for the dispute, of course the mediations has higher degree of flexibility. It is the methods of give and take. It is very much dependent on the skills of the mediator as well as the response of the employer and the contractor. The ultimate goal here is to find a win-win situations under the mediations. If they can find a positions, both sides are getting what they want, which at the same time, both sides can forego a certain degree of interest up to an acceptable level, giving way to the other party, then the dispute resolved. When it is a win-win situations, the relationship between the employer and the contractors is not significantly affected. There is still room for future cooperations. Probably not for this project. There may be future cooperations in the other projects. Now when come to the arbitrations, it is the matters of right and wrong, what should be done and what shouldn't be done. It is likely that the outcome will lead to a situations of win-lose situation. When one party wins, the other party will lose. The winning party will be happy, but the losing party will be unhappy. Regardless whether you are happy or not happy, the decisions will be final. You will have to abide to that. You cannot say no because one of the arbitrator is appointed by you, and it is a collective decisions where you have 3 professional people who are neutral, stating that you are at fault, and as a result, these are the outcome, and you have to abide to that. This is about a brief comparison between the mediations and arbitrations. In our next videos, we're going to discuss more about mediations, adjudications, arbitrations, and also litigations. Stay tuned.